All right, so we left off with kind of figuring out that there was something to do with the childhood abuse and that there was something missing there. So as I started to do more research into, what happens to these victims of childhood abuse, that year a documentary had just came out about like the Boy Scouts, and so there was just generally a lot more information out about it versus like when I had looked several years prior. It wasn't really in the kind of lexicon of like what are some of the outcomes for these folks. And so like there just kept being this thing that kept popping up over and over again of one of the potential symptoms. And it was just kind of glaring to me in the sense that like that would be a pretty big reason why he would flip on having children as soon as it became real. And so I confronted him because at this point in therapy, we kind of reached a wall, and he had requested to meet with our therapist one-on-one and share some information with her. And then after that conversation, she basically came back and said that like I don't feel comfortable like meeting again because I don't, without having to talk about what he talked to me about, because I don't want to keep any secrets. And at this point I'm kind of like, okay, this is bad. Whatever it is bad, because a therapist like wanting to withhold information, I know like what the rules of confidentiality are. I got my master's in counseling, so I'm pretty adept as to like what that means. And so all the pieces are starting to kind of come together for me at this point. And I basically confront him and ask him, well, I don't really ask him, I basically tell him like, I think this is what's going on. And he confirms that that is indeed what's going on. So in that conversation, as he's admitting to me what he's been doing for the past decade plus, he basically says that, he knew that I was against it and that he didn't want to share with me because he knew that I would basically say that that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with him. And so he purposefully withheld that information from me. And of course I understand, right? Like clearly, like, like obviously he cared about me, he wanted to be with me, but I think also like it kind of turned on a light switch for me of like he is very comfortable manipulating and lying to me. And yeah, if I hadn't figured this out, I don't know if he would have been forthright with that information, right? Was the other piece, that the communication was not there. And so I think pretty quickly for me, it was like, yeah, I don't think it's healthy for us to continue forward with this relationship. And for him, I think he still wanted to be friends. And initially I was open to that until I saw what the aftermath was of this relationship, in which, I think it just kind of elevated some of the manipulation and abuse tactics, and it was just getting to a point where it was just incredibly unhealthy for me to be around him. And I